Hey guys, it is Sabo here, and I am back with another edition of Sports Talk with Sabo. And today I'm joined by my special guest, Steve Garvey. Steve, thank you so much for doing
Sabo,
this.
my pleasure. Thanks. I've been looking forward to this.
I know, me too.
Good.
So without any further ado, let's get this interview started. You were on the cover of Sports Illustrated and known as Iron Man for setting the National League record for consecutive games played with 1,207. How difficult?
Tired just listening to that.
How difficult is it to play in every game, day in and day out, for over 7 seasons? And what was it inside of you that drove you to be able to do it for so long?
Well, I think first of all, you have to have a passion for what you do, and when you do, especially in an entertainment business like sports, you know, you really, you're playing for the fans. You want to entertain them. You want them to have fond memories. I always say we're in the memory business. So, you know, I got this streak going, and all of a sudden, 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, no major injuries. Played through the flu and a pulled hamstring and hyperextended elbow once, and you know, a lot of things that could keep you out. But I really felt an obligation to the fans, and that's what drove me.
Wow. So when your streak finally came to an end, I'm curious, what did your body feel like after you finally rested?
You know, that is a great question, because it was my 1,207th game. And early in the game, I had hit a dribbler down the line, got on base, and then got the second, third, bases loaded, 2 out. And Pascual Perez for the Atlanta Braves airmailed one over the catcher's head. So I took off. The ball bounced towards home plate. Bang, bang, play. Pascual is spread out over the plate. And I have to make a decision. Do I slide into him and maybe buckle his knee, or do I go around? Well, I decided to go around, put my hand down, caught my thumb, and tore the ligament. And I'm there. I got tagged out, which was an insult to injury. And so I'm there, and the trainer comes up. Everybody's running off the field. I'm holding my thumb, and he said, "Garv, what is it?" I said, "Well, you know, I think it's dislocated." So I gave it to him, and my thumb just went like that, which meant that the ligament had torn. So we looked at each other, and my first instinct was, I'll go in, ice it down, tape it up, pinch it the second game, and think of something tomorrow. But with the torn ligament, I couldn't. So I get to the end of the dugout, and there's a tunnel that's going up to the clubhouse where I was going to go. And all of a sudden, 7.5 years of every day suddenly just flushed out of my body, because you're constantly thinking of it. And I kind of went down on a knee. It was a hot, really kind of humid day in San Diego. And I just kind of knelt there for a minute or two and knew the streak was over, and thought to myself, well, I'll start a new one.
So speaking of your teammates, you were nicknamed Senator due to the fact that you were engaged in politics before your baseball career. During these crazy political times, what do you think of the impeachment, and what do you hope to see for the coming election and beyond?
Well, first of all, I never thought that when you're representing a team and a city and fans, that you really can't take one side or another. I was always a little more conservative, so President Reagan was a dear friend of mine, and George H.W. Bush, and I had the opportunity to introduce especially President Reagan during his campaigns.
That's cool.
So that's why they called me the Senator. Always a foot soldier for the conservative cause, so to speak, but always very open-minded and fair. I think it's very important. Recently, this great reality show in our lives called Politics are extremely interesting every day. If you're not careful, it dominates your day. Us guys, us older guys, not you. You study. But I just hope that that both sides come together and start to think in terms of unity and doing what's best for the country. And the last few years, I've had a chance to go to the congressional baseball game in the summer.
That's cool.
And do coaching then. And even though I'm on the kind of the Republican side, all the Democrats are always saying, "What will it take to get you on our side?" And so we kid back and forth, but they know that I always want what's best for everyone. So.
So your former team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, were victims of the Astros and Red Sox in the recent sign stealing scandal that has captured the headlines this offseason. What is your view on the actions of these teams? Has Major League Baseball done enough to deter the sign stealing from the nature of occurring in the future? And do you think the players should have been punished for their actions?
Well, I think it was definitely a flagrant abuse of the rules. And I don't want to deal with minutia, but two things that I've observed. Number one, such disrespect for the national pastime and for our sport is what really deeply hurts me. And number two, the greed of the teams at the top.
Yeah.
And I think that's, when you try to take advantage of the system after having reached the ultimate goal, and you do it by cheating, and the teams you beat are then affected, and not only those teams but other teams too, and it affects players' careers, then I think that it should have gone another step.
Yeah.
And the players should be punished individually. I know they have an agreement between Major League Baseball and the Players Association. But I always think things are vertical from the top to the bottom, and I think it should have been a more stringent punishment.
All right. So you're wearing a shirt right now, and it's the BAT team. Now, I understand that you actually currently serve on the board of the BAT team, the baseball assistance team. BAT is a nonprofit organization that helps former, major, minor, and Negro League players with medical and financial hardships. Can you tell me a little bit more about the mission of the organization, how you raise funds, and what you do in your role as a board member?
That's a great question. For over 30 years now, I think I'm the ranking member of the Baseball Assistance Team Foundation.
That's cool.
And it started with Ralph Branca and Joe Garagiola and Ted Williams to help the former players that never received the benefits that our group has through our association. So it's a nonprofit, obviously, 501c3. And each year, now we're up to almost 300 grants a year at over $5 million, helping members of the baseball family. And it's just not former players, it could be active players, it's now minor leaguers, it's clubhouse men, it's trainers, it's scouts, so we're covering the whole baseball family.
It's a really nice thing that you're doing.
And it's such an honor to be able to help the former players like that, and that's why I'm honored to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's very nice. So in your post-baseball career, you have become heavily involved in the television business. You host baseball's greatest games and own Garvey Communications, a production company specializing mainly in infomercials. What are some of the infomercials in which you have been involved in?
Oh, well, a number of commercials over the years, especially when I was first starting out. My rookie year, towards the end of spring training, our traveling secretary came up and said, "Hey, Garv, Aqua Velva is looking for a young rookie to do a commercial." And I suggested you and Bill Buckner, and they decided maybe you should be the one and Bill will do the next one. So my first commercials were Aqua Velva and Vitalis.
Okay.
So the Vitalis one was interesting. It was done on opening day of 1970. I just won the third base job.
All right.
And it was a commercial where Pat Corrales was going to throw to Pete Rose, the second baseman.
All right.
I was going to slide in head first. My helmet was going to come off. Harry Wendelstedt, the umpire, was going to go, safe. And Pete Rose was going to go over and show him the baseball that he had tagged me with. So it all happens and everything. And Pete shows Harry Wendelstedt, the umpire, the ball, and there's some Vitalis on it. Harry goes, "You're out." So I go to the dugout, and there's Maury Wills. And he says, "Son, if you're going to make it in the big leagues, you got to use the greaseless groomer, Vitalis." So that was my first big one.
That's
and
really
it was
funny.
fun. And then a number of, through the years, and some infomercials for products that I think are helpful to everybody.
Yeah. So now it's time for my favorite segment of the interview, and it's called the Quick Pitch segment. It's basically just a bunch of really short answer questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
What is your favorite movie?
The Natural.
What is your all-time favorite TV show?
Curb Your Enthusiasm now. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go.
Who is your favorite actor or actress?
Ooh, that's good. Probably John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara.
Okay.
Because they also played in The Quiet Man, my favorite Irish movie.
All right. Who is your favorite musician or musical group?
Oh, the first one I ever heard was Chicago with the trumpets.
All right.
But I guess it would have to be Frank Sinatra.
All right.
He does my walk-up song, My Way.
Yeah. What is your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food? Anything my wife likes to eat.
Okay.
You know, and then I know that we can go to that restaurant. I try to set her up with that. Honey, don't you want some nice, great tasting pasta tonight?
Yeah.
You'll learn that when you get home.
All right. What is your favorite car that you have ever owned?
Ooh, I owned a 924 Porsche.
Okay.
Back in 1980. It was really sleek. It was like a bullet.
Okay.
And Steve Sachs had just come up, and I was mentoring him, and he got the same one I did. It was white with tan interior.
That's cool.
Pretty cool car.
Who was the toughest pitcher you ever faced and why?
Well, I faced, I think, 12 or 13 Hall of Famers, and I always say Phil Necro, because he threw the knuckleball. And he didn't know where it was going, catcher didn't know where it was going, and I'm supposed to hit it.
All right.
It's tough thing.
Other than Dodger Stadium, what was your favorite ballpark to play in and why?
Well, Wrigley Field, because of day baseball, ivy on the walls, just the atmosphere, like the old time games where they used to not have a night game, would travel by train.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a historian of baseball because I was a bat boy for the Brooklyn Dodgers back in 1956, and that's when I fell in love with the game, started reading about it. So, and I think that's important. I think you feel the same way. If you understand the history of something, you're going to have a better understanding.
Yep.
Of it.
All right, and now for the most important question, arguably the most important question. If you were trapped on a desert island and could only have one person with you, who would it be and why?
Well, it would, I can't answer that question. I have 7 kids, 7 grandkids. It'd have to be Mrs. Garvey, Candace.
All right.
Okay, I'm safe, aren't I?
Yeah.
Because boys are just on this earth to serve, you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, so that pretty much concludes today's video. I want to thank Steve Garvey, my special guest, for doing this. I really appreciate it. And peace out, Sabonators.